my boys with me.
Hello and welcome back to Kenzie Talk with Juel podcast, proudly sponsored by fundraisingcup.org Ministries. Today I am joined by someone very special I connected with on LinkedIn, Monique May. Monique describes herself as someone who helps clients free up money to build substantial savings, prepare for retirement, plan for long-term health care, secure life insurance, and take control of their income, business, and personal life. She also mentors individuals through a leadership and business development program. Monique, welcome to the show.
Hello, and thank you.
Let's start with the big picture. When someone asks you, what exactly do you do? How do you explain it, Monique?
The way that I explain it is, how people have been recently laid off and they're not happy with their current career path and they aren't making enough money and have concerns about long-term health care and taxes and inflation and being able to retire and or maintain their current lifestyles after retirement, and they're being met with jobs or options that offer little or no hope of achieving their goals. Well, what we do, as stated before, is we help clients free up money to build a substantial savings program and put something in place for retirement, long-term health care, life insurance, and take control of their income, business, and personal life. And our business model kind of works very similar to um, real estate. Say you're working for Keller Williams, and for example, you start your own agency and maybe call it XYZ real estate agent. Let's just make up a general one. And even though it be your own agency, it would still be a part of a much larger parent company, such as Keller Williams or Century 21. And so in our business, if there's just a similar model, our parent company is Aegon. And Aegon had a vision to fix um, things that were wrong with the financial industry. And one of the biggest issues is how biased the industry is. So, for example, you can have three people and and all of have financial professional. One might have a financial professional that works for a bank, um, and the professional at the bank would tell you that the best place that you can put your money is the bank. And then you may have another one that tells you something different. And then you may have a third person that works for an insurance company, and they're going to tell their clients that they should put their money into a whole life insurance because that are annuities because that's what they sell. So you have three people that are all financial professionals, but all three of them would be given different advices based on what they have to offer. And that advice may not be specifically right for that person they're talking to. Well, one of the ways that Aegon fixed this issue is by buying two companies. And the first was our company, World Financial Group, which is based out of Atlanta, Georgia. And then they also bought Transamerica. Now, the World Financial side is the broker side um, that is a market for hundreds of different companies. And so when Aegon bought us, they established us as the insurance broker. And then with Transamerica, which is like the subsidiary, that's on the security side. So because we have all these various companies, some of you probably heard of like Nationwide, Prudential, Pacific Life, we're able to pull from all these various pots or buckets and tailor specifically to the client's needs and not just offer limited things based on what we have to offer.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
You
And
mentioned, I'm sorry, go right ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You mentioned freeing up money. A lot of people feel like they don't have any extra money to save today. How do you approach that?
When we approach it, we start with our financial needs analysis, which we do complimentary, and it covers 6 areas. And one of those areas is addressing expenditures and income. So we
Mhm.
itemize. It, part of that is itemizing all their expenditures, what they're spending, and looking where they can cut back on some things. We also encourage them, instead of waiting and saying, well, we're going to do spend and pay bills, and then what we have, what is left is going to be what we're going to save. We teach them to take a pay yourself first approach. And so when we look at the expenditures, some people spend money that they're not realizing what they're spending, where they could cut back. For example, they go to Starbucks every day and spend $10 to $20 daily. So let's just, to make the math easier, say they're doing $10 a day. Well, if they're going to Starbucks every day, including Saturday and Sunday, and let's just say there's on the average 30 days in a month, that's $300 a month right there that they're spending at Starbucks. If they cut that in half and make coffee at home, that's $150 they freed up. And most people probably spend more than $10 a day at Starbucks, but I'm just using that figure to make the math easier. Let's say
Mhm.
they're paying for cable. Instead of paying for the expensive all-including packages, there's a lot of streaming services now where you can get a lot of the stuff. That's a way to cut back on money. Um,
Mhm.
Packing a lunch maybe instead of going through the drive-through every day. There's a lot of ways that people don't are not even conscious that are ways. So we start with looking at their expenditures. We also look at maybe where and how they're trying to save. For short-term saving, the checking account and saving account is okay. But when you're trying to save long-term, you have to look at the interest rate you're getting in the vehicles where you're putting your money, as well as compound interest. So when you're saving long-term, you want to put your money in the right vehicle to get the best um, return on the money. Because and then when we say in compound interest, that means putting it where your money will grow, even if you're not necessarily adding to it every month, but putting it where it's going to automatically double over a period of time, whether you add to it. And I know this is throwing a lot at you and at people, and this is why I'm just kind of giving a general thing, and really would need to sit down with a person one on one to kind of tailor to them, because there's so many, there's a lot of moving pieces, is
Uh-huh.
answering that specifically for each person can differ a little bit. So uh
That makes sense. You also talk about retirement and long-term healthcare planning. Why are those areas so critical right now?
where retirement is concerned, um there's some people that they can retire, but it's a matter of whether they're going to be able to maintain their current lifestyle after they retire. And so they need to make sure that they have the right thing in place to be able to do that. Some people have 401ks, but their employer may not be matching what they're putting into the 401k. And so the issue that they're going to run into is if they're going to be able to outpace inflation and taxes. And the reason why I say that is because most people don't realize that
Hmm.
even though it's tax deferred and they're not paying taxes on it now, when they get ready to withdraw it, they're going to have to pay taxes then, and they're going to have to pay taxes on the growth, not just what they put in. So that's why it's
Hmm.
important to know whether or not your employer is matching your contribution. Then there are also other vehicles that can be used as retirement outside of a 401k that might be a better option if your employee is not in fact matching. And then if you're someone that's self-employed, that you don't have a built-in retirement, you really want to, there's some vehicles out there, savings vehicles that you can use to start a retirement, as opposed to trying to just save on your own. So things like that. And then the long-term care piece, um,
Hmm.
it just gets expensive. If something happens to you and you can't take care of yourself, um, you're going to either have to be able to pay someone to take care of you, or rely on going to a facility. And these facilities, if a decent one, can be very expensive. And the thing with long-term care, the programs that will um, cover that for you, you have to be really, really low income, or and most people fall in the middle. They make the amount that they make that is going to knock them out of the box of qualifying for those programs. And so, and once you need the long term care, you want to get you some type of a long term care policy or a long term rider, or maybe a policy you have, or in addition to a life insurance, so that you have that to pay for that. Because if you wait till you need it, then you won't be able to buy it. So long term care is important, because you want to stay in your home, may want to stay in your home when you get to, but that cost caregivers cost money, and
Mm-hmm.
long term care policies would cover that. Because like I said, the programs that would um covers taking care of people, you got to be just above poverty or in poverty to qualify for those programs. So that's the catch 22, because there are a lot of people that they are blessed that they make enough to live off of in their old age, but it's not enough to live off and pay for caregiving needs if they need them. So that's an important issue. To just as I lived that nightmare when I was taking care of my mother before she passed away in 2024. She was blessed that
Oh,
because she got my
sorry.
father's pension and his Social Security, she was better off
Mm-hmm.
than a lot of other senior citizens when it comes to living. However, that knocked her
Yeah.
out of the box in being able to qualify to get the long for the long-term care service caregiving needs that she needed when she was diagnosed with um dementia and Alzheimer, and got to the point of where she couldn't take care of herself. So I was put into a particular position, which I was glad to do, to take care of her until she
Mm-hmm.
passed away. And then there are times where I did have to pay and have other people come in, and that ended up eating the cushion that she had. So that's the thing. And I encourage people to think ahead and not be in that position. So,
Yes,
yeah.
I've heard that come up a few times with different family members and friends, those same exact caregiving financial issues. Um, you mentioned life insurance, and I do have a few misconceptions about how life insurance works in terms of um, it's really helping with the caregiving process. Are you able to clarify a little bit more of what life insurance actually covers?
Well, life insurance, first we have to there are different types of life insurance. There's term, convertible term, whole life, index universal life. And
Mm-hmm.
life insurance is not just about final expense need. It can also
Mm-hmm.
be, um, because of the cash value, it can be a savings vehicle. And then there's different
Yeah.
types. A lot of the permanent life insurance is with the cash value. You can add different types of riders, and one of those is a long-term care rider, which is less expensive than buying a separate long-term care policy. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, yes. So, um,
Thank you for
and
clarifying that.
yes. So,
Go ahead. I
and
don't
I
mean
was
to cut
also
you off. Please go ahead.
And I was going to also say too, with the index universal life, it's called that because it's tied um, to the market, so that you can get some of the growth of the market without some of the um, losses, without being affected by the losses that you would experience with the market. So, um, and that also applies to
Mm,
index annuity. So, yes, just to answer that question, yes. So.
I see. Thank you. You also mentioned involving clients in a business opportunity with leadership and mentorship. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yes, I am currently building a team of people to help me do what I do. And when I say involve them in a business, that's what I mean. We can bring them into the business, because some people, no matter how much help them um, cut back and free up money. They just need more income. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the jobs there are dead end jobs, or some of them are in great careers, but they're not going to just pay a lot of money. Um, I was a teacher, and a lot of the teachers get in the teacher profession. Teachers make significantly less than other professionals like doctors or lawyers. And given the cost of living, especially if you live in California or New York, you're going to struggle to live in California or New York as a teacher on a teacher salary. So we can offer them the option if they don't want to completely change careers and get into financial industry, because this is something they can come in part time. They can continue to teach or whatever they're doing and make the extra income that they need to make. And at the same time, we encourage personal development here because I know I'm by nature an introvert. So when I first came into this, it was a major challenge for me because talking like I'm doing now, that would have been just like, yes. Um, and so there's training that involves personal development that helps in that area. So
Okay. Wow. Okay. So it sounds like there are two paths, becoming a client and potentially becoming part of the business.
exactly, yes.
Is that correct?
So that is
Okay.
correct. Yeah.
Okay. And for someone listening who feels overwhelmed by finances, where would you suggest that they start?
I would suggest that they start with sitting down with myself or someone and start with the free financial needs analysis, because that free financial needs analysis, the analogy I like to use is I don't know if you've ever put together a jigsaw puzzle. Usually the first thing you
Mm-hmm.
do, or the first couple of things you do, is to spread the pieces out and then look at the picture on the box. The purpose being the
Uh-huh.
pieces of the puzzle is showing you where you are, what you have, and then the picture on the puzzle box is where you want to be, where you want to get the puzzle. So, um, knowing where they are, kind of giving that overall picture of what they have, and then that also helps us get them to where they need to be. So, eh, some people like to make
Okay.
assumptions because they've sat down with someone before, but I don't know if they've done the analysis to kind of really get an overall of where they are. So, yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, and so what would you say to someone who's skeptical about financial program or mentorship models?
I would say at least sit down with someone, or um, we even have overviews, these are virtual events via Zoom to where they can come and get more information. Because I think sometimes the skepticism is coming from the place of not enough information. So just starting by getting more information and just um, listening, and then after asking questions and then going from there. So
Okay. And before we wrap up, Monique, which areas do you find people most concerned about right now? Savings, retirement, healthcare, life insurance, or business development?
I think right now it's because people are struggling so to make ends meet. It's the taxes and inflation and um,
Mm-hmm.
just making ends meet and having some hope of getting past just trying to survive. So,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes, it seems people want stability and control in these uncertain times.
right.
Well, Monique, I want to thank you so much for sharing your perspective and explaining what you do in such a clear and concise way.
You're welcome, and thank you for the opportunity to do so.
Uh, Guys, if this conversation resonated with you and you're looking to better understand your financial position, connecting with a professional and starting with a financial needs analysis could be a practical first step. As always, do your research, ask questions, and make decisions that align with your long term goals. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you on our next episode. Bye.